Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session of the eProcurement workshop. My name is Benjamin Ho, Deputy Procurement Officer. We also have Lucy Bodila, Project Coordinator. We will be presenting to you today on a new system which has lots of benefits for your business called eProcurement, and we'll be showing you how to take advantage of the benefits that will be offered by this system. So, what is eProcurement? eProcurement is an enhancement to the city's procurement and financial system that allows vendors to use something called the iSupplier portal for responding to bids, RFPs, and RFQs online. So online bidding is one of the major benefits you'll have with the eProcurement system. If you're an existing city vendor, there's also the ability for you to view and track the contracts you have with the city, see orders and releases that the departments are ordering on your contract. You can look at receipts, and you can look at payments and submitted invoices online. So this will provide you unprecedented transparency into your financial dealings with the city. So if, for example, you are not being paid on time, you can see where the holdup is. So we think this will be a huge benefit for those who already do business with the city. If you are an existing vendor, you have that. Plus, you can now begin to submit bids online to the city as well. In the future, we will be adding to this electronic submission of invoices. So if you choose to, you'll be able to invoice the city online through this system as well. This is now currently under development, and we will be providing additional information about that as it becomes available, but we expect to begin piloting the invoicing electronically later this year, before the end of the year, and to have that begin to roll out to the vendors in 2017. All right, next slide. So key objectives for eProcurement. So the big one for the vendors is to be able to allow you to download and respond to the bidding, the solicitations, online or electronically. You'll, as I mentioned earlier, also gaining access to your information that has to do with city contracts you already hold is also a big benefit. Now, some of you in this room may be subcontractors. I do want to emphasize that this system is for prime contractors. If you're a subcontractor, you need to work with your prime to get access to the financial information for your contract. There is some information provided via the City of Chicago Vendors Contracts and Payments website, which I believe was talked about in an earlier or in a different presentation, and that information is available to all the public, but the detailed information that I mentioned earlier is for the prime contractor. So this system also has benefits for the city, which indirectly then benefits you and the public. So by streamlining the creation and approval of contracts and amendments, we speed this up so that you'll be able to get your orders quicker. By ensuring that the contracts and the mods are processed quickly and in accordance with all ordinances, laws, and regulations, we make sure that we comply with everything that is applicable from a legal viewpoint. By eliminating paper-based processes and physical routing of documents. Yes, sir?
So you mentioned bidding defense. Does it also apply on professional related?
We have a question from the audience, which is, does the online bidding apply to professional services? It will. We will talk about the phase-in approach. Not all contracts will begin immediately with online bidding. There'll be a phase-in period, but yes, eventually all contracts that the city bids will be done through this system. So consolidating various systems that are now separate within the city is another goal, and allowing the online system to provide for registration of prospective vendors and communicating to vendors will also be enhanced through this system. So next slide, please. So this, as I mentioned earlier, the system that will allow these new functions to be given to the vendors is called iSupplier. So the iSupplier portal requires registration so that you'll need an account with the system. Once you're registered, you'll be able to do things that I mentioned earlier, the online bidding. You'll be able to view your orders and payments, and also you'll be able to update your company information online. So your billing address, if that changes, you can update that in the system. If you have ordering contact information changes, that can also be done in the system. When you do that, our bid and bond room will be notified so that they can take a look at it. They won't have to approve the changes, but you can get that done on an expedited basis. In order to assist you with the transition to online bidding and the use of the iSupplier system, we have developed in what we call the eProcurement microsite, which is a website devoted to eProcurement to help you through the process. And with that, I'm going to turn that over to Lucy to walk you through the eProcurement microsite and what you'll see on the online system once you get there.
Okay, so this is the microsite portal, the eProcurements. This is where you would click on. Until, so it is, it's an intuitive site. So that's how it would look like. Once you click on that link, or you www.cityofchicago.org/eProcurement, this is the site. And this site will, it goes over the home. Oh, my God. Oh, hold on. Has login registration, current bids, online training materials. So any questions you have, you would go to that first, knowing how to log on, how to get an invite. We'll review that a little bit. And DPS alerts. On the top bar, you have the home page, login registration, current bids, solicitation opportunities, online training, and help. And help has a lot of, if there's a couple of questions, you could go there and also tell you where to submit for questions on invoice if you're looking for payments and invoices. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, the online training materials. This is a good one. So this one is where you would, for first time accessing iSupplier, we offer a PDF document and also video. The video is helps a lot, but the PDF document is probably more. I think it doesn't take as long to go through. The next one would be how to submit registration, how to reply to registration invite. Because if you are a current vendor for the city, you have to get an invite because you already have the vendor number. But if you're a new supplier, you can actually register right away with the documents that are required, which is an W-9 and your FEIN number. So, and then it has like how to add addresses, contacts, very easy, very simple, intuitive. And the next one, of course, is how to look and access solicitation bid opportunities, current bid opportunities, invoices down the line, purchase history, purchase orders, and the last one is responding to submissions, review solicitation documents, print, how to print. So all the materials are there, and they're intuitive. And like I said, we do offer the videos with that, the PDFs and the videos. So this is how an eProcurement bid online would look. This is the abstract. So you would, so there's like the event is the commodities. If it's commodities or work services or a pro serve or construction, it would be there. And then solicitation number, spec number, solicitation title, the date it's going to advertise, and the due date when the bid is due by, a deadline for questions. And then if you click on the, I mean, we didn't take the screenshot of the details, that little icon with the details, it would show up the whole bid. You could see a PDF of the bid. And these are viewing your POs and releases. You have your PO number, the operating unit, the type of document, if it's standard, if it's a blanket.
If you submit on something,
Mhm.
would that allow you to see under that item who also submitted or how many you got?
So the question for the YouTube audience is, if we submit an online bid for professional services, will we be able to see who else bid on that particular RFP? Is that the question? Yes? So the answer is the city will be able to, will continue to have its bid openings the way we do now. All the bids are electronically received in the system, and then when we open the bids on bid opening day, there will still be bid openings, and at that point we will notify everybody who the bidders are. But prior to, I think your question is, prior to that, can you see, real time who else is bidding? The answer is no.
Okay, so this is how we view POs and releases. This is the screenshot of this particular page. As Ben mentioned earlier, we're going to have a phase-in on the rollout of the eProcurement, the iSupplier. Our first ones are going to be commodities and small orders. Next phase will be RFPs, RFQs to ProServe. The phase after that would be work services, vehicles, heavy equipment. Then architectural engineering and construction will probably be phased in at the end of the year or beginning of next year. And this order can change at any time. So here's how the home page looks for iSupplier. To view orders, payments, and respond to bids and RFPs online, as well as, you'll see, the next slide. So you would view your orders here, and your attachments, and you could actually you would be able to view your purchase order. There's a drop down, and this one's all purchase orders. Can we go live on the microsite? Okay, so there is many things to do. What I suggest is that you go on the microsite and play around with it, and I encourage everybody who's not a vendor to apply for a vendor, apply as a new vendor, or if you're an existing vendor, apply for, register for an invite, and go onto the microsite and go through it and review the training materials. It's an intuitive site. It's very easy to use. It's user-friendly. And we encourage that everybody register, new and existing vendors register or submit invitation. It's a very simple site, very intuitive. Any questions?
At this point, we can open up the floor to questions. I'm sorry. We would like, this room is not conducive to doing a live demo. We've had, in future ones, we'll be going to 1103, which has live demo capability, and at that point, we could go into the particular screens. But let's take some questions from the audience, because I want to make sure that you feel comfortable in registering. You can do that once you leave here, and when you get back to your office, you can register.
Okay, I have a process question, which I want to see if this will be rectified when you get transferred from current system to procurement.
Okay.
And the process is when an agency within the city of Chicago makes a selection for professional services,
Yes.
only notify the selected firm. The other entity, they sometimes don't even find out after 6 months or a year who got selected, what happened. So they don't notify everybody. Will that be rectified here?
Okay. So the question here is, will the agencies or departments that select vendors for an RFP do not notify everybody, particularly the non-selected vendors. And will that change with eProcurement? So the answer to that is actually they are supposed to notify, and that would be, it would not be the agencies, it would be the Department of Procurement Services does issue what we call declination letters when somebody is not chosen for an RFP. Also the same thing for a bid. However, I believe the concern that you raise may be addressed because, I'm sorry, may be caused by some RFPs take a year and a half to 2 years to award, and when not everybody has been thrown out. For example, if you would have to be eliminated from being on the short list, in which case if that happened early on, then you would find out fairly shortly after the submission of your bid. However, if let's say you have 7 bidders and 5 people pass the minimum qualifications, and they go on the short list, that means they will be subject to additional evaluation. They might be called in for orals and asked to submit additional information. That process means you will not receive a declination letter, even though you may not be the final awardee. So all those 5 people would have to wait to hear from the evaluation committee, which would send out invitations to the shortlist candidates. And those invitations might take a long time to come, so you might think, oh, I've been eliminated from consideration, when that might not actually be the case. Or this might also happen, is that you may do your orals, and then months will go by, and you think that you've been declined and you've lost the bid because you haven't heard anything, whereas there's a lot of internal deliberation going on within the city. So the fact that somebody hears nothing might make them think they've been declined when that's not true. But then when the final decision is made, that has to be approved by the various commissioners. You have the commissioner of the one department that is asking for the bid. The procurement, the chief procurement officer also has to approve. And then we have to get various signatures from law and other departments. So when all that happens, the final awarded vendor receives the award letter. At that point, the declination letters are supposed to be sent even now. This is pre-procurement. And if they are not sent, that's a violation of our process, because they are supposed to be sent when the final decision is made. At that point, all those remaining 4 vendors on the short list are given declinations. And the reason for that is that sometimes, even though the committee may recommend one vendor, the commissioner of the department who has the final say may disagree. So you can't, the committee ranks all the vendors, and if they choose to overturn the vendor and not award to that vendor, that top vendor, they have the right to do so. And so until the fat lady sings, we do not issue any declinations, because at that point, that means we're rejecting your bid. So that's why many bids may not be rejected for maybe a year and a half to 2 years later. So we do apologize for that, but that process is supposed to be the current process now, and it will not change under eProcurement, because everybody's supposed to get a declination now.
So what is the official debriefing process if, let's say, if some firm did not get selected? They want to know why.
So if a firm is not selected, let me repeat the question. The debriefing process. What is the debriefing process? So for bids, it's based on lowest responsible bidder. So if the bid that is the lowest dollar-wise is not selected, it's because there was some other non-price related factor that made them not responsive, or responsible. What do those terms mean? That means, responsive means that they are capable of providing that product. They've filled out the bid accurately. And responsible means that they're a qualified vendor. So those are conducted by the Department of Procurement Services, those evaluations. And there really is no discretion with regards to, once you meet those two, responsiveness and responsibility, we have to go with the low. So there is no debriefing that way. With regards to RFPs and RFQs, which I think is probably the subject of your question for ProServe, you can request one by sending an email or a letter to the Chief Procurement Officer, and then a member of the evaluation team will be scheduled to meet with you on that. So are there questions on the eProcurement process? Because how many of you have signed up for eProcurement? Nobody? How many of you would like to sign up for eProcurement? What, almost everybody? Okay, so how many, are you guys existing vendors? No? Yes, you are. So if you're an existing vendor, when you go to the site that says login and register, there's two sections, one for existing vendors and one for new vendors. Read the instructions for the existing vendors, which is going to ask you to, it's going to click, and it will come up with an email box, which will allow you to request, you'll have to request what's called an invitation, and our bid and bond room will send you the invitation, which will correspond to your existing vendor number. And then when you open that link on the invitation, it will take you to a registration screen that will let you fill in the information for your staff who wish to access eProcurement. You can register yourself as well as multiple people within your firm. So we encourage you to do that. So if you have multiple people who need to access it, so it might be your sales and marketing people, it might also be your finance people, because they'll want to look at the contracts and the payments now. So you can register all of them and get accounts made for all of them when you go online. I would highly encourage you to do that. That way you will be able to do online bidding when that starts. We expect to start with a commodities bid for water treatment chemicals, which is in the final stages of approval, and then we'll be following with small orders. And then, as you saw up on the screen, we have a rollout sequence which will then take us through. It will probably be well into next year before all of those contracts are actually advertised online. So as you know, currently we have the list of bid opportunities. We've added a section that says eProcurement bids. When you click on that, it will also take you to the screens that Lucy just showed you here, so that you can see the lists of eProcurement bids. For the next, I'm going to guess, year or so, we will have both electronic and non-electronic bids. So the ones that don't say eProcurement on them, you will need to respond to in paper in the bid and bond room, just like you do now. For the eProcurement bids, I want to let you know that we will not be printing out hard copies here. You do need to go online, and when you go to that abstract page that we talked about earlier, you can click on the details, and then you'll download the PDF of the bid from there. If you want to be on the takeout list, now this is important now, so you do not automatically get on the takeout list just by clicking on that PDF. In order to be on the takeout lists, we would prefer you to do it the eProcurement way, which is you would log in, go into, I'll take that question shortly, we, we would log in and then use the bid, the solicitation number, and pull up the bid for response, and then go in and look at it inside after you logged in. Then the system will record you and put you on the takeout list automatically, even if you decide not to respond. The other way is you can then you can send an email to the contact us information here, and bid and bond will put you on the takeout list. Yes, we have a question.
Are the bid opportunities on the procurement site the same as the EPS site?
So the question is, are the bid opportunities on the eProcurement site the same as the DPS site? The answer is yes, because the DPS site will list all bid opportunities, eProcurement and non-eProcurement. However, the eProcurement site only lists the ones that are eProcurement. So all the ones that have to be responded in paper will not appear on that screen that I showed you. But the current screen that you go to see all bids will have a link to here, so you'll see all of them that way.
So far what's happening is there is a nano e-procurement. We have to submit all the certifications in actual signatures and wet signature, original. So when you do e-procurement, do you have to submit certifications separately?
Good question. So the question is, we currently have to submit many certifications with wet signatures. What will happen in e-procurement? So there are, by certifications, I'm assuming you mean some of the MWBE certifications and the Schedule Cs and Ds, which in some forms have to be notarized, et cetera. So how those will be submitted in e-procurement is that there will be PDFs that are attached to the bid, and then you will have to download and print those, and then get them filled out, and then scan them and upload them into e-procurement. The scan copy, you do not need to return those originals to us. The scan copies will become your official record for the city. So yes, you will need to fill them out, but yes, they're going to become electronic scans. Other questions? If no further questions, then we thank you for your attendance here. We hope that eProcurement will make doing business with the city more streamlined and more helpful to you and your business. Thank you very much.